Hi, this is Heidi with Homeschool How To again, and I wanted to talk to you today about the Abeka curriculum. What it is, whether you should use it, all that kind of thing. I know it's a very popular curriculum, so I thought that there would probably be some people out there with some questions or just not sure whether they should use it or not, that kind of thing. So basically what I've found in all my years of homeschooling is, yes, it's a very popular curriculum, but also there seems to be kind of a love-hate relationship with Abeka. Parents or students, either they just love Abeka and they just think that is what everyone should be using and it is the most wonderful thing in the world, or on the other hand there's people that have tried it and say, oh, I would never use that, it's awful, we hated it, that kind of thing. So there's not a whole lot of people in between there. Either you kind of love it or you hate it, so that's just my opinion. But so that's one thing you kind of need to look out for. And obviously it's biblically based, which is very good. You know, if you're a Christian and you want to make sure that you have a lot of biblical references in your kids' books, that's great, but you know, obviously you need to be using, doesn't have to necessarily be in their curriculum. You can still teach the Bible without having it in their spelling books or whatever. So this, even though it's biblically based, it does have some pitfalls. One thing that I know is that it was created for schools. There is a school in Florida that it was based from, and they created it so that the school would have materials to use. And there are tons of Christian schools now that use it, and lots of homeschools that use it too. But basically, you know, my husband's a teacher, so he knows that you've got a lot of crowd control that you have to do as a teacher. So when you have a lot of students, you have to give them some kind of busy work. You gotta, you know, you have a lot of people that you have to keep busy, so you are going to give them some things to do to kind of help you manage the class so that everyone has something going on and you're not having to manage every little thing. And so that's kind of why the textbook approach was developed for Abeka, is so that the teacher could have lots of students doing the same thing, and they just kind of, here, take your workbook, get your workbook done, and you know, read this textbook and that kind of thing. So if you want to mimic a classroom, or you want to have your homeschool as close to a classroom as possible, that's one reason why you might want to use Abeka, because it is a textbook approach, and you do have you know, the textbook and the workbook and answering questions, you know, read this section, answer these questions kind of thing. But it was created for schooling. Not that homeschoolers can't use it, but that was the basic intent of the textbook approach. The other thing I've noticed about Abeka is that it is accelerated. So basically, if your student is in second grade in Abeka, they are doing like third grade work. So if you have a very average student, might struggle in certain areas, you might get a little bit frustrated with Abeka because it's so, you know, accelerated. So you might want to even try like a grade lower than what your student actually is if you do decide to use it, just because it could be very hard, could be very frustrating, you know, hey, you got to get this done, and the student's like, it's too hard, you know. So be careful about the fact that it is accelerated, and that might be something that you would want to consider when you're thinking about it. If your student is accelerated, they might enjoy the challenge, and if they're not, then they might get really frustrated by it. So the other thing I've noticed about Abeka curriculum is that it has a very high burnout rate. I'm not saying everyone burns out that uses Abeka, but I'm saying that the people that have burned out that I know that have done homeschooling, chances are they've been using Abeka. So, you know, don't get me wrong, I do think it can be good, but be very careful because it has such a high structure rate. Sometimes homeschool families don't do well with that, or there's so much material to cover in that year, and they can't get it done, and the parent is frustrated because they want it done, and the kid's frustrated because the parent is just bearing down on, get this workbook done because we bought this, you know. So just think about that as far as you know, trying not to burn out or whatever. There's tons of information on my website about how to homeschool, you know, in a little bit different way if you're not into the textbook approach. If you're thinking about Abeka but you still want something structured, you know, there's lots of information that I have on my website, and you can get maybe it's a different curriculum, maybe it's more hands-on, that kind of thing. So there's lots of things available. Another thing I wanted to say is that there are tons of very talented people that have created curriculum, or maybe created books or resources or whatever, and they are a specialist, say, in spelling, or they're specialized in history. Well, all those people don't work for Abeka, or they don't all work for Sunlight or whatever. They each have their own package or own book or resource, whatever, that they have created, and they are specialists in that. And so that's why I like to pick and choose a lot of different things, different subjects based on the student, because that way they're getting the best information, the best teaching style, and we're not just pigeonholed into one type of teaching, whether it's you know, spelling curriculum or language or whatever, if you're only using Abeka or only using one of the other ones. So I think that's about all I have to say about Abeka. Feel free to ask questions on this website, or if you would like more information about homeschooling, homeschool information, what to do about what to teach for each subject, what to teach for 4th grade or high school or that kind of thing, go to my website. It's homeschool-how-2.com. I have a couple free ebooks on there. One is how to get started with homeschooling. The other one is how to homeschool using the best resources. Those are free ebooks that you can sign up for there, and you can ask me questions there, that kind of thing. I'm definitely here to help. I've been homeschooling for a long time, so I feel like it's my turn to kind of give back. I've had a lot of good mentors, and I want to be able to help other people. So if you have any questions, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.